Hello, everybody. My name is Eliza, and my colleagues are Taylor, Alexa, and Nikunj. And today we're going to be presenting Increasing Physical Activity, a program called Exercise is Medicine at UF. So this is just an overview of the presentation, just to give it some structure. And our target population is going to be University of Florida undergraduate students. There's a mix of females and males, and a variety in ages, ethnicities, races, as well as people who live on campus, off campus, and that are commuters from home. So the health issue is physical inactivity because sedentary lifestyle can increase the risk of chronic diseases and metabolic syndrome, which is just a combination of health issues such as hypertension, high cholesterol, and obesity, and other variables. Stakeholder organization that will assist us is the UF Gator Health Promotion Services, as well as UF Rec Sports Collaboration. So benefits of physical activity, of course, improve cardiovascular, muscular, and skeletal health, increase bone density and muscular tissue. Mental health is very important among students, so a decrease of stress, anxiety, and improved focus. And sociability, so you have a community that will support you with either physical activity or other fitness goals, and teamwork in that community. And of course, quality of life, so longevity and energy levels to get you through the day, not only in that point in time, but also for the future. And of course, these are the physical activity guidelines for Americans. And what's recommended now is 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity aerobic activity. That could be a brisk walk, swimming, sports playing, gardening, and then it's also recommended muscle strengthening activity at least 2 days a week of either body weight, resistance training, calisthenics, Pilates, yoga, and more. And of course, you can do more and reap more benefits, but it's also recommended to do whatever you can. So this is the statistics from 2020 of all Americans in the US, and unfortunately 46.3% of individuals meet neither of those recommendations. So we want to increase that number amongst University of Florida students. So this is the level of diagnoses. We're going to be using the pre-seed, proceed model, and we're going to structure with social, epidemiological, behavioral, environmental, educational, ecological, and administration and policy diagnosis. So social, we want to conduct campus-wide surveys and focus groups to understand students' perceptions and any social norms relating to physical activity. Epidemiological would be collecting any baseline data, objective data from UF health services or Gatorwell health promotion services to get that baseline. And behavioral environmental would be and define any key behaviors that exist amongst the population majorly, like frequent sitting, low gym attendance, is there a lack of study places on campus, or any environmental barriers? Is there a lack of bike racks, a lack of sidewalks? Is the climate in Gainesville hot? Is it unsafe? Is it safe? Is it living far from campus and hindrance? So those are just variables to consider. And ecological and educational would be to identify those knowledge gaps. It's very important to see if there's resources available or not. And lastly, administrative and policy diagnoses to see, can we get local support from, of course, our university and funding, or can we even get greater local support from the county of Gainesville itself? So going down into the significance of it, of course, there's a significance among college students, 40 to 50% are physically inactive, and they can even face greater levels of anxiety and depression. So this is a reason that we should promote physical activity, not only for your physical health, but mental and emotional and spiritual health. And This is internationally, there's still even a percent of the world that are physically inactive. So it's not just a US problem. And the UF significance, specifically from the UF National College of Health Assessment, only 41.1% of students met the recommendation for both of the activities. So we want to see, can we change that? Can we increase that to at least half of the population of UF? So what Ms. Evans said from UF Gator Health, two questions, and her answer stuck out, was that physical activity is a complex issue. Not many people know the definition of physical activity. Does that mean just move more? Does that mean do I have to do a specific exercise? Does that mean going to the gym? Does that mean going to my doctor regularly? Does that mean other health issues going on? Are they embedded? So it all depends on the needs of the students and the scope of what we want to try to aim at. And one program that they do have is the Changes program, which basically introduces nutritional counseling, mental health counseling, and resistance training assistance to students that apply and know about the program, of course. And how we can conduct data collection would be, of course, to create a survey, but make sure we are getting help from the UF SGA and registrar to really spread this survey and to collect people for a focus group. And this is just a quick example survey. We tested different questions, and while we had a small amount of people answer the survey, it was just good to see the different questions and how effective they were. And so now the proposed solution is there is the American College of Sports Medicine Exercises Medicine on Campus National Initiative. So on the list to the right, University of Florida is not on the list. Some other Florida universities are, and even internationally outside of the US too. And what this organization can do is, of course, integrate physical activity into just the normal daily activities of UF culture and connect UF health to physical activity, assess their physical activity levels, create an organized structure, connecting both health and wellness UF organizations together, like we already previously mentioned, and having an action plan. This program gives you an action plan to all these schools and how you can create different physical activity programs more effectively. And how can we collaborate with other schools in Florida and across the US to even build a greater community? And it's important to note that this program has been part of different research studies. And so it is an evidence-based program, both research studies and scoping review.
Thank you, Eliza, for this great overview of the program. Now let's dive a little deeper into the program description. The description is broken into four parts: the theoretical basis, the goals and objectives, the implementations, and the estimated budget. So for this program, we've decided on the theory, social cognitive theory. This is a theory founded by Albert Bandura in 1986 via the Bobo doll experiment. This theory basically lets us understand why people like students' activity levels vary among the whole population in the UF. And we also seen that with the help of the social ecological model, like these two theories work very well together. And the goal of this program is to target multiple levels of network to better integrate a behavioral change through social support, self and collective efficacy, and potentially being able to change policies within Gatewell or UF exports. The main constructs that we focused on for this program is observational learning. This is basically students learning via looking at others, their peers, their friends, their personal trainers, and whoever they might be. This next construct of self-efficacy is basically believing how much can I go work out? What do I have to do to go work out? Next up is behavioral capability, is basically knowing how much knowledge they have of working out or engaging in physical activity. Then we have the outcome expectations. What are the outcomes or what are the beliefs of me working out? Next up we have is reinforcements, which is basically rewards and punishment for working out. You get rewarded for we get rewarded for working out, basically having a cheat day if you go work out, and a punishment is basically you not going out that night if you don't go work out. And then lastly, we have a self-regulation. This is basically how much controlling one's own behavior through self-monitoring, goal setting, receiving feedback from your peers, your personal trainer, giving yourself rewards, self-instructing yourself, and social support. And lastly, I do want to say that motivation plus discipline can help you get the behavior that we are looking for.
Thank you so much. We have a GOMS table. This includes our goals, objectives, methods, and outcomes with theory-based strategies. One of our goals is to increase students' confidence in their ability to engage and maintain an active lifestyle. Our goals, objectives, as well as the strategies, deliverables, and impact and outcome indicators, they all connect our program with theory-based ideas in order to achieve that goal. We include modeling, demonstrating form and program planning, as well as consciousness raising, which includes analyzing health topics, self-affirmations, mastering experiences, learning proper form and execution of exercises, as well as planning coping responses and planning how to tackle and get past barriers, which was shown in the Koch et al. 2016 study. And just a brief overview. So the objective is that by the end of the academic year, we hope to increase participation and weekly step challenges. In order to do that, attending group exercise sessions that allow students to experience physical activities under the guidance of instructors, which can boost their confidence. And the deliverables include multiple opportunities for physical activity as well as feedback. We plan to receive feedback from students each semester on program satisfaction, including if they have increased physical activity levels or not. Our next goal is to create an online presence that engages students and promotes an active lifestyle. Our objective is to increase followership on engagement when it comes to social media platform by 50%. And then our next goal is to increase students' knowledge of the importance of regular physical activity on overall health and wellness. And for the sake of time, the rest of our objectives, strategies, and deliverables, they all align with our program and connect the program with theory-based ideas in order to achieve our goals. This is our goals and objective. The program purpose is to implement the Exercises Medicine on Campus initiative, and we hope to connect students, faculty, and on-campus healthcare providers. Our quality of life goal is to increase physical activity amongst undergraduate students. Our health outcome goal is to increase students' perception and adherence to the physical activity guidelines for Americans. And our health-related behavior goal is to increase physical activity and students' ability to develop their own physical exercise regimens. Our health-related environmental goal includes creating informative material and keeping that material in Gatorwell offices as well as UF Student Healthcare Center offices. And we hope to display physical activity guidelines for Americans so that all students are aware of the guidelines. Our second goal is to increase students' knowledge of on-campus physical activity resources, such as free groups, as well as any exercise classes being offered. Our third goal is to create a social environment that encourages and emphasizing the importance of physical activity. The fourth goal is to encourage students to walk to campus by taking, walking, bicycling, or other modes of manual transportation to get everyone moving. Our programmatic components, the first goal is to establish the Exercises Medicine Leadership Committee, and we hope to include different people on the campus, program coordinators, as well as clinical health professionals, fitness and exercise health professionals, and 2 student representatives will all make this committee. Our second goal is to frequently organize physical health and wellness events in collaboration with Gatorwell and UF Rec Sports. And we also hope to have special group exercise sessions have health and wellness workshops, as well as different social media campaigns and community building activities. And we also will have campus environmental improvements to make everyone comfortable, to take manual modes of transportation, as well as long-term monitoring and evaluation.
All right, thank you so much, Taylor. That was so wonderful. And now briefly, I just want to touch on some of the program development and testing that we want to do prior to our program implementation, because of course, we need to be able to plan and make sure that all of our activities align with our goals and objectives, as well as align with our theory evidence base that we have for this curriculum in order to make sure that it is efficacious. So the first thing is that we will develop our program curriculum either by designing our own educational materials and program structure, or utilizing those from things like the CDC, for example, and conducting pilot sessions with the help of our program coordinator and fitness instructors. The next will be to develop marketing materials such as posters, flyers, and social media campaigns, with utilizing focus groups for students with feedback, as well as the assistant coordinator and the marketing team. Next, we'll have our monthly outdoor fitness classes, so we can create those schedules and plans also that align with student availability and scheduling, with a variety of activities, and also conduct some smaller trial classes to gauge our interest and feedback alongside our program coordinator and fitness instructors, as well as our stakeholder, UF Gatorwell Health Promotion Services. Next, for our special events and workshops, we'll plan these events in advance, help to secure permits and organize logistics, such as staffing and location. And we can run some smaller scale versions of these events first, and collaborate with our event planning team led by our assistant coordinator. And next, for our volunteer training, we'll develop these training sessions for volunteers or interns. And we can even conduct some mock training sessions before and collaborate with our volunteer coordinator to do so. And then finally, for our process components, we're going to want to do the initial development of our content and plans, review and feedback with focus groups and trial runs, making some revisions based on our feedback and evaluations, and finally getting our approval from stakeholders prior to our full implementation. Sorry. And then for our estimated plan of action, we have it broken into 4 phases, and all of this will take be kind of over the course of a year to a year and a half. Our first stage will be our preparation stage, where we're recruiting staff, developing our materials, planning our events, and evaluating the effectiveness of putting these conversations with UF doctors in the Student Healthcare Center, and putting in those resources. The next phase will be the pilot testing, where we're running those pilot programs and collecting feedback that will help us to implement our final plans. The next phase will be our full implementation, where we're launching our full marketing campaign and social media campaign, actually conducting our classes and events, monitoring and evaluating participation and progress, and doing reports for those. And then our final stage will be evaluation and expansion, where we're evaluating the program's final success, identifying improvements for future evaluation and implementation, and then planning for expansion and possibly seeking a policy integration for sustainability after the course of our actual program taking place. And then here we have our Gantt chart to sort of help to more easily and readily visualize the timeline of each phase of our implementation of our program, so we make sure that we are on time and can also share this with our coordinators and stakeholders. And then for our evaluation plan, we want to create a baseline assessment where we administer a pre-program survey, as well as a baseline fitness assessment. Then for our process evaluation, we want to track attendance using Gator IDs and Gator ID taps, also collecting feedback forms to gauge satisfaction, and making sure we are up to date with our implementation checklist so that all components of the program and the dissemination of the materials are going as planned. And then finally, we'll have our outcome evaluation, which will consist of a post-program survey, probably with Qualtrics, where we will measure changes of physical activity levels, knowledge, attitudes, and mental health status, as well as a follow-up fitness check, with UF Rec Sports and Gatorwell. Finally, a self-efficacy and collective efficacy scale where we can use a validated pre-existing scale to measure changes in confidence, and then overall just reviewing our program logs for effectiveness. And then here is on the left is a brief overlook of our estimated budget and funding sources. Because we are a university-backed program, we're going to have multiple potential streams, including university grants and student activity fees to help sustain and fund this program. And then I'll pass it over to my other team member so he can talk a little bit about our expected final outcomes of the program.
Yes, so let's talk about the outcomes of this program now, right? For the indicators, deliverable outcomes, we have the participation rates, where the indicator is the number of students attending the fitness classes, the workshops, and special events. In terms of engagement levels, we have active participation during the sessions, which is going to be measured by our instructors and our surveys. As in terms for physical activity levels, these are going to be changes in self-reported physical activity level among participants, which will be done using the pre and post-program surveys. In terms of knowledge and awareness, we're going to be tracking their awareness levels, if it's increasing or decreasing, via the pre and post workshop quizzes and surveys that will be happening. In terms of satisfaction and feedback, again, we'll be using monthly feedback surveys to get those feedbacks and our data for that. And then for health outcomes, we're going to be seeing the improvements in the self-reported health metrics using the pre and post-program health assessment surveys. And in terms of the overall expected outcomes, the few outcomes I have is increased physical activity levels, which will be, we're going to see if they're going to be able to match the physical guidelines that we have. Then we have the improved mental health, the enhanced knowledge and skills, greater adherence to physical activity guidelines, strengthened community and social support, and then lastly, increased utilization of campus resources. Now, lastly, let's have a brief view of the logic model. This basically is logic model. All it's doing, it's basically compiling everything that we've talked about into this one little chart. It's something to read a lot, but it's just basically a conclusion telling us what the resources, the activities, the outputs, the outcomes, and the impact all put into one. And then lastly, there's the references that we've used to collect data and to create our program that we have here. And lastly, I want to thank everyone who was in this program to create it and implement it. And lastly, I want to thank everyone for taking their time out of their day and listening to our presentation. And we all hope that you consider our program for the betterment of the students and their physical activity levels at UF.